Contestant number 2, are you ready?
Yes.
Tanya White Deo. Change is the new normal. Be ready for it. Change is the new normal. Be ready for it. Tanya White Deo.
In September of 2018, Forbes released an article, "Change is the new normal. Will you handle it? And how will you handle it?" Madam Contest Master, fellow members, and distinguished guests, I'm here to tell you that now change is the new normal. You have to be ready for it. After the pandemic, we've all had business closures, loss of jobs, children that don't go to school even when it snows. Have I come down your street yet? Change is the new normal, and you have to be ready for it now. I've encountered change ever since I moved to Northern Virginia in 1994. I came here thinking that it was a big city coming from a little town. I could do anything. Anything was possible. Until I tried to get an apartment for less than $1,000 that matched the wonderful townhouse I had with all the amenities in Charlottesville. And I couldn't even get a closet apartment for under $1,000. But I had to adjust, and I had to come up with a new plan, a new thought pattern on this new job that I'd gotten I was in charge of everything. But meanwhile, I wasn't making any money doing it. Therefore, had to think about what to do. Through the years, I've bumped across something called reinvention. You reinvent yourself, according to Webster, by taking something that exists and you make it into something that works better for you. You must think beyond the present to see what is possible in your future. I'm going to share with you 3 steps to a successful reinvention. First, assess your situation to find out what has you stuck in this moment, in this problem. In my case, I had the skills to do a job that would pay more, but I wasn't going to get it working for the current employer. Believe me, the Commonwealth of Virginia explained that to me in many ways when I wrote letters trying to explain that the physical services supervisor couldn't make less than the lowest clerk on her list. The 15% differential they claimed to have issued with the transfer did not begin to make up for the 35 to 40% differential in the cost of living between the 2 areas. Mainly, a lack of attention to what the increase meant from a Northern Virginia perspective was my biggest problem. Second, you have to beat the bushes. Do the research, find the solutions that exist, which have what you want, and learn what you have to do to obtain it. Back then, you couldn't do a Google search to find out what you wanted. It was a time of go to what you know or who you know. After exhausting all my resources at University of Virginia to find a path back to Charlottesville, I reached out to another company where I had connections. I'd worked for Kelly Services as a temp many times on holidays and other days when I was in Charlottesville. That gave me the confidence that taking a role which paid more, that was a temporary position, would be better than working for my current position. I lucked out and they had a position available at what became PricewaterhouseCoopers as an executive assistant working with the tax service line HR director. I had no idea what any of that meant, but I knew that it was a service position in an office, which I had done before becoming fiscal services. And I figured I'd be supporting someone who did what I did at the University of Virginia. Third, you have to commit to your reinvention. I found the position, I got into it as a temporary, but I knew that ultimately I needed to be a full-time person. The day before I started the job as a full-time hired employee, my mother passed away. At that point, I could have thrown in the towel and gone back home and called it. But I said, no, I'm here. I'm going to make this work. Devastated, I continued on with my goal to reinvent. I also learned while I was a temporary that there was a university in the building, Keller Graduate School of Management on the first floor. All I did is take an elevator from PricewaterhouseCoopers. As soon as I was eligible, I signed up for classes. I pursued my MBA. The degree gave me the leverage I needed to make the reinvention a reality. I was now an accountant with an MBA working for an accounting firm, but they wouldn't give me a shot at it because in their eyes, I was just an EA. But that was okay. I had the tools now to go and make a new career as an accounting manager, which I did for a very long time and had a very successful career doing it until 2009, where I really had to take all of these tools I learned in how to reinvent to become a DJ, to sell cars, to turn around and sell insurance. I've done it all, but I still had to, commit to my reinvention. The goal was to get back to where I started, to be an accounting manager again. I have worked since 2009 to get there. And last week, I finally have the salary, the job, and I'm back on top where I was. The difference between reinvention and job hopping is something has to happen to change the landscape where you are, and your hand has to be forced. You don't just leave for a bigger, better opportunity. Job security, company loyalty are concepts of the past, which have been replaced by job standardization and company reorganization. Companies gain while employees lose. As one of my favorite television characters would ask, what is your deepest desire? Would you be willing to step out of your comfort zone to be happy, to reach a level of satisfaction, or just to try something new? Remember to follow the 3 steps outlined. It's easy as A, B, C. Assess the situation, beat the bushes, and commit to reinvention. Change is the new normal, and you are ready for it.
Thank you, Tanya. We will now